I've been getting a lot of questions and comments from guys, especially after uploading that one stick climbing method video, about just ditching the weight of the stick entirely and replacing it with either a webbing loop or a rock climbing aider. Now, the idea's been around for quite a long time. No way for me to tell who came up with it first, but I think one of the reasons it really hasn't quite caught on a large scale is because it's fairly difficult to do and it takes a long time, even more so than the one stick method. But I do think there are some useful applications for it. So first I'll show you how it works, and then I'll go over some applications where I think I might choose something like this over a method that uses sticks. So for setup, I got my rock climbing harness. This is the Mammoth Ophir 3 slide. Exact same rock harness, tree tether, and lineman's belt that I would use for any climbing setup, regardless if it's this method, one stick method, four stick method, anything. I'm always using this as my safety harness. Now for the bottom half, what makes this setup unique, I took 24 feet of 1-inch tubular webbing, and I just tied a series of alternating loops, very similar to how I do my webbing extensions on my climbing sticks. And I just tied a series of 4 of them in here. The idea is that I won't be using all 4 of them at any one time, but for different sized trees, I'm going to be girth hitching this around the tree. So I might be using, on a larger tree, the bottom 2 or 3 rungs. On a smaller tree, I might be using the top 1 or 2 rungs. So I just have a water knot here to tie off the ends and make this one big loop. So to start with, I got my tree tether on the tree about head height, and I have my carabiner set up so that it just reaches my tie-in loop. Now this, you want to girth hitch around the tree. This is going to look loose because it's a step. And then you want to make sure that this thing is fairly close to where you got your tether set up. Now at this point, you can hook yourself in. Now you need to climb into this top rung and stand up. It helps if you hold yourself close to the tree. And then you just lift up on the tether. Try to get it somewhat close to head height. You probably won't be able to get it quite that high. Then you just hang. I like to brace my knees against the tree to give myself some room to work with. And then you just loosen up the aider and slide it up the tree. One advantage of using this over the one stick method is that with the one stick method, you got to make sure that stick doesn't really interfere with this rope. But when you got an aider here, it really doesn't matter. The downside is that this thing is a little bit harder to get just right and get into position, more so than just making sure you get the strap tight on the Versa button. But then once again, you just do the exact same thing. Step into the bottom rung, step into the top rung, stand up. See, it's not quite as stable. Another point for the one stick method here. Now, if you get yourself in a position where you would need to go around a branch, then that is when you would use your lineman's belt hook yourself in. And then you could just take your tether off, put that around the tree, and then once you climbed up a little bit more, take the aider off, put that around the branch, and then take your lineman's belt back off. Going back down is pretty much the exact same, the exact opposite of going up. Stand, loosen the tether, bring it back down. Then lower the aider. The more branches and crap you gotta go around in general, the more it makes sense to use multiple sticks. Okay, so when would you use something like this? Well, if you're not going very far, or you're trying to set up close to a bedded deer where stealth is of utmost importance, it makes sense to bring multiple sticks and not try and do anything fancy with a rock climbing harness. The further you go, the more it makes sense to bring something that's lightweight. For me personally, the added stability and rigid length of that climbing stick outweighs a little bit of weight savings that I would get with the aider. So for hunting, if I was trying to be really lightweight, more likely than not, I would stick with the one climbing stick. I would tend to choose the aider over the one stick method if I was scouting. Because if I'm out there from 9 a.m. to 3 or 4 p.m. in February, March, or April, I'm not bringing a tree stand, I'm just bringing a pack with the bare necessities. And there's a good chance I might not want to climb a tree that entire day. So I don't want to carry anything I don't have to carry. There's always the chance though, that I find that tree while scouting and I think, man, I really want to get up there, I want to take some video of the surrounding area, or I want to see just how I would position a tree stand in this tree. And in that case, having the rock harness and that aider in the pack, for a very minimal weight, probably less than 3 pounds with everything, I can have that option. So for me, scouting is when this can really shine.